Refresh.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us for our second PCG Hangout. This afternoon, we're really going to focus in on managerial skills. Whether you manage a small team or a large team, whether you've been a manager for many years or you're new to the management game, I am certain you're going to walk away this afternoon with some new information that's going to help you succeed, which in turn will help your team succeed. I'm simply going to welcome you once again. Thank you for joining us. And then I'm going to turn the reins over to Glenn Pasch, who is the current CEO of PCG Companies. Glenn, please take the hot seat and introduce yourself.
Come on in. Hey. Hi, everyone. Welcome to a lovely Monday afternoon. I will warn you if there are any interruptions, meaning I hear big knocks on the door. That's because my two young sons are here in the office today. They're off from school, so unless their Xbox blows up, we should be safe for the next time. So I have my notes here, so if I'm looking over here, it's not to distract what's going on, but now we'll get comfortable. So I want to see right now we have some people joining us. If you guys have any questions, again, please make sure you type them in here for me so that I can answer them, and we'll go from there. So again, I wanted to remind some of you or invite you or welcome you again to our Google Hangouts. The reason why we decided to do the Hangouts this year is because we wanted them to be a little bit more casual than the typical webinar where everyone is just showing slides and things like that. But we wanted to be able to have people join these casual hangouts, as well as meet all of our team here at PCG and get a chance to ask questions of the people who are in the trenches day in and day out, handling different issues with dealers, from digital marketing, from SEO, paid search, social, strategic decisions. Mark was on last week or a couple weeks ago talking about lead handling and things like that. That's what we want to provide here at these Hangouts. Casual atmosphere, interact with our team, understand some of the things that's going on, and answer your questions. So I hope a lot of you, as I said, I'll wait to see if we get any clicks here or questions back and forth. How many of you are running teams and or want to be running a team? And that's part of what we're going to talk about today. Some of the things that I feel are necessary for those of you who are currently leading a team, whether you're new at this or you're an experienced person running a team. A couple things that I've found in my years of training and developing teams and leading teams, I hope they'll be beneficial to you. So I know some of you may be asking, well, why should I listen to Glenn, who heads up a digital agency? Why should we be listening to him about managing and leading teams? So quick little history. I've been pretty much working since I was 13. Myriad of different jobs, from paper routes to odd jobs around the neighborhood. But about 18 years old, I ended up running the kitchen of a Perkins pancake house while I was going to college. So, you know, just sort of thrust into running teams, making sure things are happening, because at the end of the day, you have people coming in for food and you have to deliver product right then and there. But it wasn't really until I moved into New York City and started working in restaurants there. I was bartending, I managed, I hosted, I was an expediter in the kitchen, meaning the person who ordered the cooks all the food. I did cook myself, I waited tables. So once you started seeing how all of those teams had to work together to deliver an experience, that really resonated with me, and I've carried that forward into all different types of business and training and coaching that I've done. My mentor at the time, a gentleman named Gene Fracchia, always said that food is a commodity. He goes, there's different tweaks and some people do it better than others, but at the end of the day, it's a commodity. We need it. It's the experience that's going to make my restaurant successful. The experience is going to bring people back in, not just the food. Very much like automotive, the car can be seen as a commodity, something that we need to have, but at the end of the day, you can put a lot of cars next to each other that some might have a few different tweaks, some might have a few other bells and whistles, but it's really the experience that they're receiving from your dealership that keeps them coming back. So I always put most of my training or start most of my workshops with a question. Think about why you go back to certain restaurants over and over and over again. Why do you shop at certain places? Some of it may be price, some of it's convenience, but a lot of it is the experience that you receive. So think of your repeat customers that you have in your dealership. Why do they keep coming back? It's because of the experience that you're delivering, your team is delivering. So think of the team. If you're on a team currently, you're running a team. Inside the dealership, there's a lot of different teams. Inside companies, there's a lot of different teams. Your team is not working in and of itself by itself. It has to be working with other people, other departments. Either other departments depend on your department to move forward, or you depend on someone else to move forward. But again, they're all interlinked. And one of the biggest problems that I see in any business, especially dealerships, everyone's so focused on their own department and the success of their own department that they're not understanding how it interlinks with everyone else. Now, some of you may say, well, I'm a salesperson. My department is based on numbers only, Glenn. This whole experience thing doesn't matter. I have to hit my numbers. Well, go back to my mentor. All restaurants base on numbers as well. The shelf life of a new restaurant in New York City is 3 months, unless you're successful. So experience drives results. So don't get caught up on just numbers, because you can hit numbers and create a horrible experience for your customers. And long term, you're going to lose that repeat referral business, and you're going to eventually churn through your market, or your reputation in your market is going to be so bad that people are not going to want to come in. So that's why, or how I got here, and why I've been brought into different companies to help them. So what I'm going to focus on are probably 2 or 3 or 4 things in the next 20 minutes that you should be really thinking about with your team. These are the first few things that I focus on when companies bring me in to help them improve their performance. So before we dive in, I want to ask you a question. I want you to think about this. What the number 70 billion means. Pause. Anyone want to type it in? It is the amount of money in 2014 that was spent on employee training across the US. $70 billion. Think of that number. Think of how much money that's invested in training, possibly in your business or your dealership. So let's think about this. My notes over here. Let's dive into what we want to focus on very first. The first 3 things we're going to talk about today. Number 1 is the manager or trainer, leader of the team. Very important. Number 2 are the members of the team. We want to focus on them. And then lastly, accountability and process. So let's dive in first. The person who's leading a team. Maybe some of you have been leading a team, okay? Or you're going to get promoted to run a team. There's 2 ways that most people come into play when they are running a team. They're either promoted from inside, or they're brought in from the outside, okay? So let's talk about being brought in from the outside. A lot of times when people come in from the outside, there's some benefits to that, because you don't know any of the things that were going on. You don't know any of the results. You don't know the day-to-day problems that were going on. You don't understand any of the dynamics of the employees. So you're not caught up in that. You have very clear eyes when you walk into this new position to run a team. So that's helpful. The downside is you don't know the culture. You don't know the employees. So it may take you a little bit longer to adapt to what's going on. So it's very important when you come in as a new manager from the outside that you sit with your owners, understand what your leeway is in terms of your responsibility, what they're looking for, your time frame that you have to generate results. Okay. And then you're going to dive in and start working with your team. If you're promoted from the inside, there's some benefits and there's some hindrances, but the benefits are most people know you. You already know the culture. You're used to it. You may already know what happened. You meaning why you got this position. Could be you're taking over a successful team. Whoever was leading it before got promoted, or you got brought in and promoted because something didn't happen. We didn't meet the results that we wanted. So again, gives you an opportunity to step in. You already, as I said, know the culture. So that learning curve is down a little bit. The downside is there might be a little jealousy. There might be one or two people on that team where they think, well, maybe that you should not have gotten that position. Someone else should have gotten that position. So again, there might be a little tension that you have to deal with. Now, if you're a viewer of this Hangout, and let's say you're above everybody, and you're trying to decide who should run a team, what characteristics should we have for this manager or a trainer for a team? But the manager of a team, what are some of the qualities that I suggest or in my company? Well, some of the first things are communications. You have to have great communication skills if you are a manager. And when I say communication, not just the fact that you can stand in front of a room and get your point across or feel very confident in front of rooms, your team may not have that. It might be a very small group. What I mean by communication is that you're very clear and specific to get across or what you expect. The fault or failure of some managers are they assume people understand what they're talking about. For example, if you say, well, I need a report on my desk on Friday. Friday's a very long time, but if I expect it at 10 o'clock because I have a meeting at 11, and then all of a sudden at 10 I walk over to the person who is generating the report and I go, where's my report? They're going to look at you and say, well, you told me Friday, so it's on my list. There can be a disconnect. There can be frustration. Performance. I need you to pick up performance. I need you to pick up your numbers. I need us to sell more next month. You see how that's open-ended? It's not very clear on what you want your team to do. But if you say, I need to increase our sales by 10 units, everyone understands what 10 units are. So again, communication, both written and oral communication, has to be very clear. That's very important for me when I talk to managers. Can they get their point across in a very clear way? Number two is organization. They have to be organized. There's a million different tools out there to help people get organized, from you're keeping everything on your iPhone or keeping everything even in a notepad. I use both. I have a notepad that I always carry around with me, and then I move everything to my online calendar, my online schedule. This way, everything's in one place. The reason is there's a lot of different things that are going on, demands on a manager's time. Someone needs something. You have to continue to put things in place in terms of training and development of your team and looking at results. If you're not organized, what happens is you forget. And you lose credibility with your team. If you tell someone on your team, I'm going to come at this time and help you, and you forget to do it, you lose credibility. Okay? So you have to stay organized in order to make sure everything moves forward. One of the best tips I ever got was from a friend who put everything on their calendar. If we said, well, let's get together, we'll go have dinner, he immediately will pull out his calendar and say, what do you want to do? And we would have to decide right then, because he always said, if I don't put it on my calendar, it's not going to happen. That's a great tip. I think that's a very, very useful tip for managers. Number three is listening skills. You have to be able to listen. Listen to your team. Shut your mouth sometimes as a manager. It's better as a manager to be quiet. Your team is on the front line. What you think is happening sometimes may not really be what's going on. So it's important to listen to the conversations, listen to the dynamics, okay? Understand what's going on before you open your mouth, because again, your words as a manager are powerful. They sway situations, carry a lot of weight. So again, I would rather you take in the information, pause, think about it, communicate very, very clearly, very specifically, but listen first. Don't react. Don't cut people off. I know managers, sometimes I've seen it happen. I have been guilty of it too. Someone starts telling you something, you think you already know the answer. You go, okay, great, 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 cut it off, and then you're wrong. So again, listen first. Vision. That's what I also look for in a manager. Do you see where we're going? Can you see the end of the project? Can you see 6 months out, a year out of where you want to take this team, and have you the ability to map out the steps that we go? Because again, a manager is not, for me, is not just somebody who's going to be able to execute in the day, today, get results today. I need them to be able to say, well, we're going to get it today, and then we have a path to go here and here and here. So vision is very important. The last two go hand in hand. It's patience and being a teacher. Management takes patience. There are times you're going to be incredibly frustrated with results. Absolutely, goes without saying, very frustrating. But you have to have patience. There is going to be a learning curve. We all did it. Sometimes managers make the mistake of thinking that just because you're dealing with adults on your team, that they don't have the ability to make mistakes. We do it with children. As I mentioned earlier, my 2 kids are in here. They make mistakes all the time. I do as well. I don't get frustrated. I mean, certain things will aggravate you. I'd be lying as a parent if I told you I didn't get frustrated. But think of all the things when they were growing up, learning to ride a bike, learning to walk. You didn't freak out. But sometimes as an adult, you think if I tell you one time, it should happen perfectly. Or one thing that I hear a lot in dealerships are when people turn around and say things like, well, they should know this. They've been doing that job for a long time, or they came here and they have experience, so they should already know. That's your job. Train them to do it your way in your business, in your dealership. So again, it's this teacher mentality. Coach them, train them. Managers, I don't even like the word manager. I'd rather have them be a coach, a head coach, because that's really what you're doing with your team, is you're monitoring performance. You're giving them a process to execute, hoping we're going to get certain results. We have to analyze those results and make adjustments to coach them constantly over and over and over again. The best managers of any business that I've seen, any teams in businesses, they remind me of sports. Just think, this weekend when this is airing, we just had the big football weekend, but just think if you clicked on and one of those teams was your favorite and you were waiting for them to win, and you looked on the sideline and none of the coaches were around. They're in the locker room because their philosophy is they're all adults, they know the plays, they're professionals, they should be able to go do it on their own. You would be throwing things at your TV, you'd be screaming for those people to be removed from their position as a head coach. But yet you do that, or I see that a lot, where teams are running and the managers are nowhere to be found. They're not coaching. When I talk to the people on the team, say, how often are you giving feedback on your performance? Once a year at my performance review. What happens during the rest? I get yelled at. I get told I have to perform, pick up my numbers, but nobody's helping me. Any management team or any team that is lacking in performance, I look first to the manager to make sure, one, they have the right manager, and are they following through with these next 2 steps that we're going to be talking about. So again, in a nutshell, those are some of the skills that I look for a manager, and it's very important. If you don't possess some of those and you are a manager, go work on them. There are a lot of different ways that you can work on them, patience being the biggest one. But again, you need to, if you're going to be successful, take those skill sets, build on them. So, any questions before we move forward? Nope. Awesome. Let's dive in. Next, point number 2 is process. You cannot have a successful team if the team doesn't know what they're supposed to be doing. And it has to be written down. Remember I said in communication, clear and specific. Things need to be documented. Not just here's our employee handbook, here are the rules that we have as an employee. I'm talking about every little thing should be documented. Every little process that you're going to ask from, let's take a dealership. You're in a business development center. Every script should be documented. Every process should be documented. How to use the CRM should be documented. What codes that we're using should be documented so that every single thing is laid out step by step by step so that you can train people on it. You can watch how they're doing it, and they can go through each step, and you then can monitor performance and tweak. But if you just throw it out there and tell people, I just need you to get results, you're going to pull out your hair because there's going to be no framework. Again, think of it this way. If I said to you, I need you to go from point A to point B and drive, if I tell you this is the route that you want to go to, if you get off the route, what do we have? We know where we're going. We can get back on track. If I just say show up over there and then get frustrated at you because you're not there quick enough or you didn't go the route that I thought you should go, see how, again, there is a disconnect with what's going on. So make sure that every single process, every single procedure is documented so that you can train on it and make sure that everything is done according to the way that you think is best for your business. I want to go back to one point I said earlier. Remember when I talked about bringing in experienced people or people who worked at another business? We see that a lot in automotive. Salespeople come from other stores, or a general manager goes from one store to another, a general sales manager. There is usually the assumption of, well, they know how to sell, they know how to do this, so I don't have to worry about it, and that's wrong. If they're coming to work in your company, I don't care how long they've been in business, you need to walk them through how you want it done in your company. If they work at dealership A, this was their sales process. Dealership B, we need to teach them in mine. Well, that was really great, but I need you to do this our way. That's not to say you don't discount some of the feedback or ideas. Maybe they did something at their other dealership that could be beneficial to your dealership. That's great, but I need you to start here. Same thing, even as simple as filling out forms. You may say, well, that doesn't really matter, but again, simple forms. Here's how we do it. Here's how we staple them and bring them over here and put them in this bin. Remember what I said at the beginning. How you do your job impacts other teams. So if you just decide to do it your own way, that may cause more work for another team. It may also slow down the performance of another team because you don't want to follow the process. So again, all of your processes interlink. Make sure that you're training them to perform. Now, if you're deciding to change a process, which happens at times, I want to change something. Remember, you're not just your group only. So if you change something, make sure you go to the other departments that you think it may impact and let them know. We're going to change this form. It's going to be done this way. Does that impact your business? Does that impact your working in your department? Communicate. Other departments will love that feedback from you. And again, it'll show you as a manager, put you in a great position because you're thinking, remember what I said, vision, you're thinking about other people besides your team. Now, lastly, the biggest thing as a manager, and again, if there's anything that I can really hone you in on to help you succeed, it is follow-up and accountability. You have to have a process in place as a manager where you are monitoring results. Okay? Every single time you're monitoring results, you have to take a moment to get rid of emotion, put them to the side, both ways. I don't care if you exceed your goal by 200%. Great, but we have to dive in and figure out what did we do to hit that number so we can repeat that behavior. If I missed my goal, again, get rid of emotion. Look at the behavior that happened to see why we got those results and dive in and fix it. So in terms of accountability, it never stops. Ask yourself this question when you are on a team or you're managing a team. Maybe someone like myself comes in and we ask you a few questions and you hear this line. Well, that's what we used to do. Oh yeah, we used to do it that way. And then I ask, well, why did you change it? Oh, well, you know, the manager stopped looking, so we didn't think it was important, and so we just changed. Very important for you to understand. If you want something to happen, check every single day or whatever time frame you've set up. Maybe it starts out when you're implementing a new process. I check every single day, maybe a couple times a day. And then all of a sudden I stop and I go once a day, then every other day, or a couple times a week, then weekly, or twice a month, or monthly. But there has to be a point that you always check. You can't let performance go as a manager and just hope. And we see that happen a lot. Okay, start off the year, start off the month, we need to pick up our numbers, and then we wait till the end of the month to check. But by that time, it's too late. So we want to make sure that we're monitoring not only the group, but we're also setting individual goals for everybody on our team, and we're looking at their performance, helping them hold them accountable, continuing to coach, continuing to train to improve performance. So again, those couple tips for you in this Hangout today, very, very important. As a manager, we want to make sure we have great communication skills. Again, we have vision, we listen, we have a coaches and trainers mentality all the time. We've documented all of our processes. We make sure that everything that we're doing is documented so everyone knows the roadmap, and we're training off of the same thing. So whether I'm coaching as a manager or someone else comes in to check something out and is working with my team, there's always the documented process we're training on. Okay. And then lastly, it's accountability. You got to follow up. If you're going to just hope for results, it's going to be hit or miss. Well, we're looking for consistent results that we can build on. So our team here have monthly meetings, weekly meetings. We check in all of the time, and we set specific goals. Every time people come into meetings, they know what I'm looking for, what information I'm looking for, and they're presenting it in a way that we're very efficient with our time, but we keep things moving forward. Now, I just want to, let me see if I can share my screen here.
Actually, Glenn, just before you move on, we did have one question come in.
Okay.
The question was, as a manager, how important is it to being open to new ideas that aren't your own?
Oh, great question. Great question. I would say I will speak personally. I'm always looking for new ideas. I want to encourage my team to feel like they're part of the solution. Remember, as a manager, I'm not in the day-to-day. I'm not doing whatever I'm managing to the level that they are. So they may have come back with some great ideas. So again, be open to them. The key is you have to understand when you can implement an idea or make a change. It may not be when that person wants it. Someone comes to you with a great idea. You don't want to say, well, no, we can't do it, and you sort of blow them off. Take the idea, figure it out. Why did you come? How do you think it's going to work? Okay, let's see. We can't do it this month, but how about if we try it next month? Or you know what? We have a process going on right now. We just changed one or two other things. If we change too many things, we won't be able to track it. The key is always encourage ideas. The best ideas I've ever gotten are not my own. As I said, the people in the front lines, they know how to make things work. So I actually want that. Makes me as a manager look better because people think it's my idea. But again, give feedback to your team. But great question. Any other questions from our folks out there?
Nope, I think we're all set.
Let me see if I can share my screen here. So where are we at here? Nope. I guess that won't let me share my screen there. So anyway, you can go to, for this class, we go in much more depth on our PCG training site. This is called the Manager's Toolbox. I have about 25 to 30 different modules, and we go into depth on all of these. So again, please, Kristen will talk a little bit about that, but please make sure that you go to that, because I think that'll be really, really helpful for you to take time in your own, home. You can do it on a tablet, mobile. Listen and really go back and take time to really take in depth. Well, what about communication and different personality types on my team, because not everybody takes in information the same way. And well, what happens if I have to discipline someone? And I go through my personal 8-step coaching process that has been very, very successful to me. And I think all of those aspects of the manager's toolbox will really help you really grow. Manager, again, whether you're brand new or you've been a manager for a long, long time. I've had people who have been managing for 20 years send me feedback about the course and say it's really, really incredible, because they go, oh, I forgot that. Oh yeah, same thing. I used to do that. I think I have to refocus that again. Let me see if I can pop up on my screen here. If here's a manager's toolbox. Let's see. Is that? Nope. There we go. Nope. Stop that one. Here we go. Okay, I can't get my screen over here to show you the next one. But again, if you need to connect with me, you can connect with me on Twitter at Glenn Pasch, or connect with me on LinkedIn, or just reach out to PCG, and I'll be happy to answer any of your calls and chat with you. Kristen's going to pop in to wrap everything up. Again, thank you so much. She's going to talk about our next Hangout. And again, thank you so much. If you have any questions, if I can ever be of service, please reach out to me. So thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, Glenn. Very informative information. Just wanted to note again, Glenn did mention PCGtraining.com. It is a place where you can find out information on all the workshops that we have available. We do have the Manager's Toolbox workshop available. If you reach out and let us know that you were on today's Hangout, we can give you that workshop at a 10% discount. So just let us know. You can email me or contact Glenn. My email information is kristen.chiarello, CHIARELLO @pcgmailer.com, but we'll send that out in a follow-up. Also, wanted to let you know that we will be doing this Hangout again next month. Our topic will be fixed operations marketing using social media, and we will be bringing on some of our social media specialists to really share that information and help you boost your fixed operations marketing through social media tools. Thank you again for joining. Send us your feedback. Any questions that you didn't think of while the Hangout was going on, we'll be happy to answer them. Have a great rest of your day.